Hey there, YouTube land, and tonight I'm going to be reviewing the release by Kino of Sugar Hill. It's actually a blaxploitation horror film, and I had planned to keep this one here and be reviewing it and watching it on the month of Halloween. I'm actually very excited about the Halloween month that's coming up, but we got wanted to watch something on Monday night, and it was Labor Day, so we were sitting home and decided that since my better half loves, and I mean absolutely adores blaxploitation films, that tends to be one of her favorite genres to watch. It's kind of a go-to, something that we can both agree on. We decided we'd finally sit down and we watch the Paul Malasky directed Sugar Hill. Now, before I get into this, let's talk a little bit about the cast and the director himself. If the name Paul Malasky doesn't quite ring a bell, you do know who he is because he's directed something that I'm pretty sure you've somehow over the years have come in contact with. He's produced a lot of stuff, but probably the one that you're gonna know, I mean, most people know, whether it's from the short-lived television series, the cartoon series, or the plethora of films that came out. He produced the Police Academy movies and made a ton of money off of those. Yep, he's the guy that's the producer behind the Police Academy series. So Steve Guttenberg can actually thank Paul Malasky for his career. Now, this one here has a decent cast and has a girl in it named Marky Bay, I think it is. Yeah, Marky Bay. Now, she's actually a very attractive woman, and she has a very they put her in kind of a Pam Grier type of gear through this. Which actually works for her because she's a very attractive woman. Now, unlike Pam Grier, that's Pam Grier. Okay, unlike Pam Grier, she doesn't do the nudity sequence. But we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about nudity and gore score, which actually a good friend of mine, Adam, he asked if I could, when I'm reviewing some films, if I could give kind of a gore score on it to let people know that are into gore or that are not into gore exactly what they're going to get when they're coming into a film. Because sometimes some people are really into this stuff, and some people are more sensitive to the gore. Some people that's not their type of thing. So throughout these reviews of the horror reviews that are coming up, especially through the month of October, I'm going to try and give you a gore score as we go along for the gore hounds out there, and for the people that want the more classic type of stuff. And not that gore can't be classic. We'll get into that as we go along. It's got a great cast in there. So we have Robert Quarry as the bad guy, and if you're don't know Robert, I'm sure you do, because Twilight Time is playing at Kent Yorga and Scream Factory is playing at Return of Kent Yorga. So if you didn't know who Robert Quarry was before, I'm sure that as soon as those announcements were made, anybody here that collects Twilight Time or Scream Factory went and checked and saw who Kent Yorga was. And it was a really cool vampire series in the 70s that, well, they made two of them, and I was hoping they'd make more. Robert Quarry, now, they were trying to make him the next big horror icon. Unfortunately, it didn't go over as well as he thought. Although he did fantastic in Kent Yorga, I think he did a great job myself in films like Madhouse with Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. He didn't manage to catch on the way that I hoped that he would, but he has made some great movies. Deathmaster is another one to look out for. Some people call that the unofficial sequel to Kent Yorga. It's a decent film and worth picking up. So. But all that being aside, what about this film right here? Well, it's pretty cool. What happens there is Sugar Hill is this. She's kind of like the girlfriend of a guy that owns this bar, kind of a dive night type spot, and he pretty much stands up to the local mob, local gangsters, and well, that pretty much ends in his death. No, there's no spoiler alert. But it's not much of a spoiler because right from the beginning he tells the gangsters where to go. They want to buy his place, or their boss wants to buy his place, and unsurprisingly, he walks out into the parking lot by himself. And quicker than you can say, I'm retiring in 3 days. I really love you. I'll be right back. He's disposed of. He's beaten up and he's kicked, and then he's kicked some more by the 4 guys that he just told off. And they're wearing stockings over their heads. I mean, I'm serious. They're wearing stockings over their heads, to mask their identities. And I guess it kind of works too, because basically the cop in this is actually played by Richard Lawson, who was in Scream, Blacklist Scream. So if you've got that Scream Factory double feature, there's actually, I think there's an interview with him on that one as well, on the Scream Blacklist Scream actual one. Now Richard Lawson does a good job in a role that it's not like a huge role but he does a lot with what he's got. Kind of like everybody in this film. So Sugar Hill realizes that the police really can't do anything about it. There's no real evidence, and even though he pretty much told the guys off and like 10 minutes later he was dead, there's nothing really to tie the people to the crime. And, well, corruption, except for Lawson. Lawson seems to be a good cop that's actually looking to get some stuff done, but his hands are kind of tied. Sugar Hill, who is his ex-girlfriend, they kind of mention, and she plays on the fact that he still has something for her, and she may have something for him as well, but they don't really go in that direction. They don't go in the direction of like talking about like the romance too much, or having it like become front and center. And I really really enjoyed that aspect. They didn't do that. It was it was refreshing. It could have went into a lot of ways with that. It could have went for so for like some exploitation type of love sequences, and thankfully no, they didn't go the way. They just went way of like using it to add characterization to these people. Imagine that, like, and not boring characterization. Actually, it does well. So what she does is she goes up to this voodoo priestess who's played by I can't remember her name right now, but if you ever watch The Jeffersons, she plays George Jefferson's mother, her mother-in-law, and in this movie she plays Mama Matrice. And Mama Matrice is kind of a voodoo priestess. Sugar Hill's obviously known her for years, and apparently she's hundreds of years old. She's got like this white hair coming down, and she actually adds a lot of like kind of like atmosphere to the film and the parts that she's in. She doesn't show up a lot, but when she does show up, she does a great job, and she really like I don't want to say chews up scenery, because that sometimes gets a negative connotation when you're talking about stuff like this, but she really adds to it. And when she appears, sometimes she appears actually very suddenly, and it really adds. So she says she wants revenge. After convincing Mama Matrice that revenge is a good idea and that's basically what she's going to want, they go out to the swamp, to the wooded area, and there's like the fog is well done. This movie, I gotta say, is really well shot. The cinematography in this thing is fantastic. It's way beyond what you would expect from one of these style of films. I went into this one, hadn't seen this one for years, and I didn't really have like a strong like feeling or remembrance of the way that it on Blackula or other films like that. But the cinematography and direction on this thing was utterly superb. I got to say, it was amazing, and we're going to get into more of that. So basically, Sugar Hill goes up with Mama Matrice to to this wooded area where she calls upon Baron Samedi. And yes, it's pretty much like the voodoo god that he runs the local area. He's the voodoo god. He appears, and she sells her soul to and more on that later. There's more to that actually on the deal that she the deal that she makes, because basically we don't get to see exactly all of that deal until the end, and it's really actually well done. It's a nice little twist with it. She says that she wants to get everyone that killed her boyfriend. She wants revenge. And he says, are you willing to do what it takes? So at this point, we see like these zombies come up, and they got this kind of like bulbous looking type of a odd-shaped thing, and it's actually a very creepy, nice look to the zombies. They do look eerie, and when they're on the screen and when they come close to the screen, or they give a sense of startlement that you wouldn't expect. It didn't take a lot to make them, but you can see how a little goes a long way with these zombies, and they do a really good job. Now, these are not the type of zombies where we're going to see a lot of flesh eating or anything like that. So this is more along the lines of the voodoo type zombies. So you think back on White Zombie, or think ahead on Serpent and the Rainbow, and that's the kind of zombies that we're looking at here. The dead that are being controlled by a member of the living, and of course Baron Samedi, who basically is there to help. Now here's the really neat thing. Usually when you see a movie like this, and a person comes and they'll give their, I want revenge, then you'll see this like demon or whatever that'll come up and it'll grant the powers, and then that'll be his scene, and we'll see him again near the end. Not so in this one here. The actor that plays Baron Samedi is actually all throughout the film. He actually shows up in different parts, as a cab driver, as the gardener. He comes in and he actually watches and is proactive and is part of her revenge. He tends to be the shining part. Think of him as like the Freddy Krueger without like too many like wisecrack things of this film here. He really, really shines. This actor does a really great job, and he plays every role in the film that he does really well. Of course, it's Baron Samedi, going on. Baron Samedi as the cab driver, pretty much luring people in or just watching the events. And he does an amazing job with it all throughout. Now she gets her revenge. Like Robert Quarry is the main bad guy, and he is racist. Like without there's no way. There's two ways about it. This guy is fairly racist. Not as racist as his girlfriend, however, who comes across, and this is a blaxploitation, so the bad guys are going to be like basically going to have a lot of extremely racist white guys, and but that's makes for good bad guys in that film. And of course, there'll always be that one, the one black actor that's kind of like that's also the bad guy too, kind of like, and he's actually done pretty well. His character's name is Fabulous. I really like that name actually. And he has this kind of like kind of a cool look to him. So Sugar Hill then proceeds to start to get revenge, and she gets it in a lot of really cool different ways. There's one sequence which was actually particularly good in a massage parlor, and she sets it up like with pretty much the runner of the massage parlor that she's going to play a practical joke on one of her friends, and he goes in there and she starts to he doesn't see because he's face down like a massage table. She starts to give him basically a massage, and she asks him like, would you like basically to have more people working on you? And we have she alludes towards a happy ending type of thing. And this is going to be anything but a happy ending for this guy. And we get this really cool scene where basically he talks about the fact, he starts to talk about the fact that the fingers are really cold and they're starting to scratch a little bit too hard. And it's so well done. I mean, there's no like overt gore or anything like that with it, but it just brings it in so well, and it's so creepily done. We get to see the zombies that, of course, are doing their zombie type massage to him, and we get to see them come in close on the camera, and it's a very creepy scene. It's very well done. Another guy is forced by her using voodoo ritual to actually dispose of himself with a ceremonial dagger. We have one that's actually gets this is in one particularly hilarious scene in a not so hilarious film by a chicken foot, which does make sense because we're talking about the voodoo culture here when we're talking about zombies, and she actually gets attacked by a chicken foot, like actually a disembodied chicken foot. It's kind of both hilarious, but it comes at a time when the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a fun film, but it adds just a little bit of levity that's actually needed at the time that it was put in there. The performances overall, pretty much across the board, are all solid. We've got some really solid actors here. Baron Samedi tends to shine. The girl who played Sugar Hill, unfortunately, didn't do a lot more in the film industry, but she did do a lot of television as well. I hear she's still alive now, and she actually does murder mystery like cruises. She sets those up, which actually sounds pretty cool. She's a beautiful woman. She does a fantastic job in the film. And before my leg falls asleep, it's solid overall. We have a really good cast in this one here, and it's helped along by the fact that although there's not it's a pretty simple plot. It's a revenge plot. It's nice that they harken back into, instead of going like the zombies that would have been more popular at the time, the George Romero type of stuff. They don't go that way. They go towards the older stuff. They go towards the voodoo culture, and it really brings a nice atmosphere to the film. Adds a lot to this movie. They've got on a solid acting base. They have a really decent script, and and it really helps that the cinematography is actually extremely beautiful, and the direction is solid on this film here. This film runs like, how long did this film run? Because it didn't seem like a very long film. No, 91 minutes. So actually, it was the average length of a film, but it just really ran really smooth and really fast. We really enjoyed this film. Like overall, pretty much, I didn't have I don't have really a bad thing to say about it. The chicken foot thing was kind of hilarious, but it was hilarious in a good way. Now, what did I think overall? Overall, this film was like exactly what I wanted and didn't know. It's one of those movies where you don't exactly go looking for it. You don't know that it's something that you really want, but when you get it, you're really glad that you do. And Sugar Hill is that type of film. I was asked, is it as good as Blackula, or is it up on that, or is it more like a Doctor Jekyll and Mr. Hyde one where there's a Blackula type, there's a Brittany Casey's in anyway, Doctor Jekyll and Mr. Black or something like that. And does it run along those lines? Well, to be honest with you, it's above ones like that, and it's above films like The Incredible 200 Transplant and stuff. That it's not done in that cheesy type of nature. It is done in the more serious nature that Blackula is done. So can we rate this up along with Blackula, which is pretty much a classic in there? And I would honestly say, yeah, you can. You can rate this one up along lines of Blackula. If you have the Blackula set, then you know like what the type of films you're getting into. I would go one step more and actually say, although William Marshall is fantastic in Blackula, Blackula does suffer from a couple like issues that makes it over on the cheesier side, which I love. But this one actually, as for like a decent horror story with a solid cast of characters and actors, it is up there with right on par with Blackula, if not in some ways a little bit better, because the direction of the film is just done a little bit better, and we get more cinematography. The cinematography is great, but here's the thing: you also get some decent location type shots here. There's not a lot of locations, but when they're used, they are used to their utmost, and that's what really makes this one work. The villains make this one work really well. We have some, like Robert Quarry's he's not an over the top cartoonish villain. He's a bad guy, but he seems to have like an affinity. He likes Sugar Hill. He's got something for her, and she uses that to her advantage. We have a very, very like evil character in his girlfriend, and what happens to her, I don't want to give away because it actually is really, really cool. And you like the guy. I mean, Baron Samedi is, he's out there, he's killing a bunch of people, and albeit that they're bad people, but we know that Baron Samedi is not exactly a nice guy. We know that he's in it for his own thing, but he's also in it, he's going to get sold, all that out of this. But here's the thing. You kind of cheer him on. And not in the way like, okay, you really do cheer on the guy, and probably not just the character, but the actor too, because he just is so likable. He does such a great job in this film. As for the gore score on this one here, the gore score is fairly low. Now that being said, the atmosphere score is fairly high, so that really does make up for it. This is not a gory film. This is along the lines of a more atmospheric kind of fun film, and it does an amazing job with that. And this here, I love this cover here, but I'll be honest with you, the movie was a lot creepier than the cover would let on. And so if you're expecting like the gut munching type of zombies, you're not going to get that from this. But if you're expecting a really, really good film that's going to keep you engaged and watch all the way through with a few little kind of like actually creepy scenes that may surprise you that they're actually in there, a solid cast of mostly black actors that are just incredible, and the fantastic Robert Quarry doing just such an amazing role. Zara Cully, that was the name of the actress that played Mama Motrice, and she is amazing. You can see her on the back there with the kind of the white hair. She actually looks like she should. She looks like the older type of character. Looks like she's lived hundreds of years. Yeah, I gotta say, I was blown away by this film. It really, really made my night. There's a song at the beginning of it that really doesn't, in a way, it kind of suits the tone. Watch the opening closely, because there's a real cool thing with the opening that will come in later on. But the song "Supernatural Woman" plays, and that's actually a really decent song. I'm not sure who did the song, but while I'm on here, I kind of want to know. So let us find out if we can see who did a Supernatural Woman. This was actually mentioned by me when I was watching it, but I didn't even think about it afterwards. The eyes, if you look at the zombie horde, kind of like if you've got the recent release that Arrow put out of Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, and you remember those electrodes, well, the eyes do have a similarity to those creatures. So here it is. So we have Dino Fakaris and Nikki Sayes, the originals, that do the song "Supernatural Voodoo Woman," and it's actually a really good song. And the originals are a decent band, so you might want to look them up on YouTube. They actually did some really cool stuff. So we got a rocking soundtrack here. We got a great got a cool score, got an awesome opening song, a great cast, and a very cool film. Can you imagine this? The guy that produced the Police Academy films, Love Him or Hate Him, actually directed this film here, which I consider a lost blaxploitation classic. What do I give this one? I give this movie here. Yeah, I got to do it. I give this movie 10 zombie massage hands out of 10. This is my review for Sugar Hill, and an incredibly fun film that I recommend you pick up from Kino. I know that they had a sale on recently. I'm not sure if the sale is still going on, but if they do, please pick this up. This is a great one for Halloween. You will not at all regret this one as well. Gore score is low, atmosphere score is high, story score, it's really well done, and breast score, well, that's extremely low. But you'll regret not watching Sugar Hill. Check it out. It's a great film. So for me right now, I'm nursing a wounded hand. I'm gonna go and one-handedly make tea and enjoy what's left of my night before I gotta go to work tomorrow. But thankfully, it's Thursday, and unthankfully, it's Thursday because it tends to get busy at my job on Thursday. Have a great night, guys. Happy Wednesday, early Thursday. Say hello to the great Deadhead, and wave over to my sleeping kitty cat over there. Have a great night. For me right now, it really is time for tea. One-handed tea. My hand hurts like crazy. And for now, I'm out of here. And for everybody that watched my 50 greatest, not my top 50 horror films, like at that time, video, thanks a lot, because I worked really hard on that video. It took a while to get that one done. If you were watching, you see me different hats and all this type of stuff. Basically, things were put back, things were taken out, lists were made. No, I didn't script it or anything, but I went pretty much on the top of my head, which you can pretty much tell when you're watching the video. But it was something that I worked really hard on. And at first, I gotta admit, I'd got a few like the thumbs down type thing, and did it bug me for about 10 minutes. I was like kind of peeved considering how much work that I put into the thing. And then I just spoke to, well, all of you guys out there, and my incredible friends at Cathode and my great support team around me that I'm very lucky and very glad to have. And that being said, it was Brandon's birthday last week, and it's Mark's birthday today, so wish both of them happy birthday. And for me right now, before I get all mushy on you guys, go get yourself Sugar Hill. It is a fantastic film. Way better than I thought. Much better than I remembered. And because of it, we are actually getting ganja in Hess. And we're going to be grabbing cotton comes to Harlem. We're also looking at across 110th Street, which was recommended by a good friend Brandon. Skin Slip, and Mark, by the way, is Killer Nerd. So I'm hoping that you guys are watching both their channels along with the rest of the gang as well. So again, Adam, thanks for the idea for the gore score. I hope that you like that addition to the channel. I hope you guys do too as well. Let me know if you want to see more of that, like a gore score, nude score. Basically kind of either like a heads up to something that's going to be in there, or a warning to something that's going to be in there, depending on how you want to take it. Sugar Hill. It is an amazingly, incredibly fun film. You will not regret this ride. Sugar Hill. Baron Samby. Just go see it. It's incredible. Thanks for watching. For me right now, it's time for tea, and I am out of here. Have a great night.